Right. So going to all-in-one SEO, you should go to search appearance, and then on the global settings, I would just copy this exact same setting. Make sure that your homepage is showing the right SEO title here. For your knowledge graph, this is basically the schema for your entire site. If you want to have your organizational schema, you just need to fill these things out, and then that should be good to go. But if you have a custom plugin, a separate plugin or custom coding it, you don't use this basically. For the content types, for posts and pages, we definitely want them to be indexable. So make sure that it's clicked yes. And then you make sure that it's just a post title or a page title here. And then post excerpt, we just remove this. And then that should be good to go. For Thrive symbols, we don't really index them. Legal pages, we don't use this section as well. We actually manually the legal pages. Thrive light boxes, same thing. And as you can see here, there's also schema markup here that you can actually use if you don't want to use a separate plugin for it, but this one requires a pro version, and then that should be it. For the taxonomies, we do occasionally index tag pages, but we also always index our category pages because, when we want Google to basically discover these different categories or these different silos for our site, we want the categories to be indexable so they can be found by Google. So we definitely index them, but we don't index the pagination pages like page 2, 3, 4, 5, because they're always redundant anyway. Google's going to see them as redundant pages. They're not going to add additional value to your site, and they're just going to mess up your crawl budget. Just no index these pages. Same thing with the tag pages. On occasion, we will use tags if our categories are a little bit too big and we want to be a little bit specific on grouping some posts. So sometimes we would use tag pages and we would index them. So for symbols, we just no index these things. And then for images, we basically just redirect them to the attachment page. And because we don't really try to rank for images anyway. If you're an affiliate SEO, that's probably true for you as well. But if for some reason you want to rank for images or you're an e-com site and you're trying to rank for those product images, sure, you can try to rank for those images and you can index them and then just redirect them to the attachment URL. So those URLs can be separate from the parent page itself. For the archives, we actually index our author archives so Google can actually discover our authors. And then same thing applies here for the tag and categories. You just don't want to index the pagination pages. For date archives, we no index them. Search pages, no index. Legal pages, no index. And then so on and so forth. For the advanced settings, we just leave it as default and then that. All right, so jumping into the XML sitemap, this is pretty standard. You would just make sure that these things are ticked up because whenever you post something or you publish something, you want your sitemap to be updated and you want your sitemap to ping Google or Bing to visit your site to find those new pages and add sitemap to the robot.txt file. Of course, you definitely want to add this one in here. And then, I'll just use this one. Make sure that you also have HTML of the sitemap. And for us, we get the HTML sitemap URL, which is basically whatever your domain is /sitemap, and then that's it. And then you would have a custom HTML version of the sitemap. And we add those the HTML sitemap into our footer so Google can discover that sitemap and it can crawl the URLs within the sitemap, and then it would actually help with indexing. For this post priority, we actually just use this setting. For the sitemap content, same info here applies with the all-in-one SEO. Basically, homepage posts, static pages, you want them to be indexable. For categories, author archives or tags, if you're using them, you definitely want to add them into the sitemap. For us, we actually use them, so we add them into the sitemap. And then I would just leave these things as default or follow these same settings. For the excluded categories, yes, if you want to exclude some categories, then sure, you can add them in here. And for excluding posts, which I would rarely do, you can add the post ID in here, which is fairly easy to get. You just need to go to the post and then get the post. I'm going to drag this out here. In the URL, you can see there's an actual number here, 740. and then that would be the post ID, and that's what you would add in here, separated by comma, and then that's it. And then for the frequencies, we just leave these things by default, and then yeah, that's it for this video.